I'm Ryan Gold here at Resultant. I'm a senior solutions architect for our group. I've been a part of Resultant for a long time. Seen a lot of technology, built and ran our managed services practice, helped build and ran our project implementations team, have helped build and run our technology assessment program, and I've worked with hundreds of clients around Indianapolis. And I'm excited to talk to you guys today about how leaders can be more effective running their organizations. And also with me is Kyle Lee. Kyle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, it's good to be with you all today. My name, as Ryan said, is Kyle Lee. I'm the strategic execution lead at Resultant in our technology services division. So I get to work with clients, helping them understand how their technology roadmaps can align to their business priorities to make sure that their IT departments are effective and to drive the outcomes they're looking for in the business.
Awesome. And, working with the kind of the varied clients that we have, right? We've come across all industries, all verticals, tons of products, tons of solutions, and tons of leadership teams. And ultimately what we found was there were a lot of organizations that were trying to do, had good intentions, had good goals, had good technology, but often found that they were falling short or not getting projects done, or maybe not connecting with the organization as well as they wanted to. And ultimately what we saw was that if we shifted the approach to how technology teams interact with their organizations, rather than, this giant complex set it and forget it type of technology strategy, and shift into more of an agile methodology, they were generally able to get a lot more done and more quickly. And so ultimately out of that, we birthed a methodology we call the ciOS process, and we're excited to talk a little bit more about that today.
Yeah, as Ryan mentioned, the ciOS methodology, the Chief Information Operating System, it really helps technology leaders be well equipped to, as Ryan mentioned, get work done that's important for the business. But we also found through just our experiences that CIO and being a tech leader in an organization, you really have to be a strong combination of a CFO, COO, and CEO. You have to come up with technology budgets, and also you're managing technology day-to-day operations as well as leading your team strategically and tactically as a CEO. And so you have to do a lot of things. And so,
and also be a lawyer, right? You got to write terms and conditions. You got to read contract language. It's a complex role.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. And so that's what we get to help our clients with, is help technology leaders thrive. And this methodology we really believe in, that we've honed it over the years, that it really does help technology leaders thrive.
I think, why I like it so much is, it draws from truly agile project methodologies, right? So instead of, working on one giant project, having a plan that you set at the beginning of the year and hoping you get there by the end of the year, it really turns it into a lot of smaller sprints, right? You've got a backlog of work that needs to get done, business requirements, divisional needs, things like that. And rather than try to focus your attention on everything all the time, you really focus your attention in one place, and get that done, move on to the next prioritized initiative, get that done, move on, so on and so forth. And you turn your technology health and development into a continuous improvement process, rather than, a 3 and 5 year roadmap, which everyone tends to focus on.
Yeah, I think, Ryan, you hit on it well. It allows you to be adaptable to the business needs and requirements that are changing. Of course, there's some staple technology things that have to happen, that have to remain a priority, security being one of those things. But there's also things that maybe you're not aware of until a week or a month down the road. Maybe your business is going through an acquisition. And so that's going to change your priorities. And this methodology, the agile nature of it, is going to allow you to adapt and succeed in that environment.
Yeah, perfect. I think security is a great example, right? I mean, you could have the best laid plans for the year, and let's say, you get crypto walled or ransomware, in Q1, right? The rest of the year now is thrown out of whack. Do you just scrap your plan and regroup, or do you tackle the new initiative, the cybersecurity incidents, prioritize it, get it done, and then go right back into your original plan? Again, pulling the most prioritized things forward. It just allows technology teams to be a little bit more dynamic in how they get work done, pull themselves out of some of the operational fires that will always be there, and get to a place where we're moving the big rocks and not just the pebbles around.
Yeah, I like you mentioned with the operational fires. As well, like something else that we've seen a lot when we work with clients is that IT departments can quickly fall into being reactive IT, and you are reacting to what the business needs, and this user needs this, and this group needs this, and you just are unable to get the strategic work done because you're just fielding requests. And so this process is really designed to help you have those conversations with the business departments, understand what their goals are for the quarter, and then to help develop a plan around those initiatives that moves you from being reactive and, well, we need this from IT, to being proactive and getting the departments across your organization working cohesively to adopt technology together.
All right, so we gave you a little bit about the process at its high level. Obviously it's a methodology to help organizations and specifically technology leaders thrive, be better leaders, deliver better technology, deliver to their organizations faster, quicker, all those things. But Kyle, jump into the process a little bit more and help bring it to reality for the folks that are watching this.
We really want to partner with technology leaders to come along and collaborate on this process. This isn't something that we come in and do in a silo. That's really the outcome we're trying to get, is to break down silos in the organization. And so usually how this process starts is that we work with you as the IT leader during like a 90-minute meeting that we just align on what is the outcomes that you're trying to achieve. And a lot of times we will set up conversations across the organization and do some discovery interviews to understand where different departments have needs and what strategies they're trying to employ. We bring all that together and we host a leadership workshop where you as the technology leader and we as the facilitator drive a conversation about what the business overall is trying to achieve. And in that time, it's been really amazing to see some of the results of that. Like the conversation shift from the tactical to the strategic pretty quickly. Like one example is, we were having one of these workshops and we called on the finance department to talk about what are you trying to achieve for the year. And, the conversation quickly went into some issues that were happening on some workstations. And we're like, we want to take care of that, but that's not what this conversation is. What are you trying to achieve from your group? And then they started to lay out a strategy where they want to implement a new accounting software. Then the IT leader is able to have a high-level strategic conversation with the leader of that finance department to talk about those initiatives and how they can collectively work together towards those goals.
I think that's really important, Kyle, 'cause what I've experienced is a lot of technology leaders tend to guess what the organization needs, and then build what they think, the technology platforms are needed to go do that. And it's as simple sometimes as, just facilitating a workshop to go talk with other leaders and peers inside the organization to pull that information out, right? So, I often find myself saying to folks, right, stop building technology for the sake of building technology, build it with, intent and outcomes in mind. It's got to serve the business in some form or fashion. And what we often find is technology is just building technology because that's what they think needs to be done. So I think you bring up a really good point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, technology really is only one component of a successful organization. So I think going back to the roles that CIOs have to wear, you have to take off that CIO hat sometimes and think outside of technology and also understand the people and the processes that your technology impacts. And I think these workshops and this ciOS process really does help you balance the people, processes, technology, the data in your organization, and get the intersection of all of those things turn technology into a high-performing strategic asset. One of the other things about being an effective technology leader, we talked a little bit about the different roles you have to play, but there's also qualities that you need to be maintaining and sharpening over time. And Ryan, you'd mentioned it a little bit earlier about instead of guessing what the business needs, actually going and talk to the business. And I feel like that hits on taking an empathetic approach. Could you tell us like a little bit more about how you see this process facilitating that?
Sure. I think, really it really is that leadership workshop, and it doesn't have to just to be a kind of a single, hour session. It could be a group of workshops with different parts of the organization. But I think, again, what technology departments often forget is that they are a service entity to the business, which has a mission. And remembering that, tying back to the different parts of the organization that contribute to that mission are really important, right? I say this in the consulting world all the time. Sometimes it's difficult for a technology consultant to remember that we are, especially our mission, right? Our mission is to help our clients, coworkers, and community thrive, and the clients, obviously that's easy to hit on. The coworkers is relatively easy to hit on, but it's often hard sometimes to remember that, the community portion of our mission, while we often don't directly service the community through technology, we are servicing organizations that are directly servicing the community that really contribute to our mission. And so we just have to remind ourselves of that. And that's the same is true for internal, technology teams. Like, you have to remind yourself that your organization is there to go achieve a mission. And while your client base may be the departments and the divisions of that organization, you're indirectly, and sometimes directly, but mostly indirectly, working, allowing those other divisions to achieve your organizational mission. And out of those workshops, right, you're gonna figure out what's important to success. You're gonna figure out what the drivers are to go hit your organization's goals, missions, visions, objectives, and that's all going to turn into this. Ultimately, you're going to have this giant business requirements document, right? And then you got to figure out what you're going to go do with it, right? Now you understand all the things that could happen over the next 3 months, 6 months, 5 years, whatever. But you need to go through and now somehow assign value and weight those business requirements in a way that makes sense based on feasibility, cost, importance to the organization, so on and so forth. And I think that's what we say or really mean in kind of the benchmarking portion of our process here is to start to add value to the things that the organization needs to go do and prioritize that based on that value.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And sometimes there's a little bit of a fear that if you ask the business what they need and everyone gets their stuff on the list, then they'll think that it's all getting done right away. What we found is in those leadership workshops, it's been really amazing to see the different departments start to work together as a cohesive team. And of course, they all have a long list of things that they need for their department. But we've also seen that as they start to understand what's the mission of the organization, like Ryan was saying, what are the goals they're trying to solve collectively, that they're able to prioritize together. And they'll say, no, this department's goal is actually more important than mine right now. Their technology need is more important than mine. And that's what being, in a tech leader, facilitating that kind of conversation and letting the team work together to prioritize along with the ratings that Ryan talked about has been really powerful. And it makes the technology leader's job a little easier when you're building that roadmap. All right, Ryan, I really enjoyed the conversation we've had today. I think for those that are listening today, what's some practical takeaways that they could leave this conversation with to go do?
Good question. I would say the most important thing I think I want folks to walk away with is to stop building technology in silos for the sake of building technology, right? The old mindset is like we got to build servers, we got to build networks, we got to build, now we got to build cloud and we got to build data, and those are all just tools to go achieve an outcome that an organization has set out to do for themselves, not the root of what we're trying to do. And so, make sure that everything that, and this, I guess this works across the organization, but, make sure everything that you do in the technology team is driving towards an outcome. And it could be, faster access. It could be richer data. It could be mobile workforce. It could be higher security protocols, to make sure that you can win the next round of business. I don't know, you'll have to think about your organization, what's most important to you, but like, you got to build technology with intention. So that's number one. Number two, get rid of this 3-year, 5-year roadmap, technology nonsense, right? That's an eternity in technology world. And really the core of the ciOS process is switching to smaller, more actionable, achievable goals, and then measuring yourself on those goals over a smaller amount of time, rather than, there's no way you could plan for 5 years from now in an accurate way. I mean, you can maybe have a general, thumb in the wind kind of, idea of what's going to happen. But you have no idea what kind of technology you're going to be building in 5 years. So I would say, 3 and 5 year planning is good, but again, tie it back to outcome. What kind of organization do you think you want to be in 3 to 5 years? What kind of clients do you think you're going to be serving in 3 to 5 years? So on and so forth. Tie it back to an outcome in some way, and then when you get closer to it, right? Then you start building very tactical technology goals to go achieve those outcomes. And then lastly, I would say, get a third party to help you understand kind of where you're at today, right? It's really, really, really hard to look at yourself in an unbiased way, right? I mean, you built it and you're proud of it. And it's hard to critically look at things like that. And so even if you don't retain somebody forever, at least have someone come in, help facilitate, a really independent look at how technology is running, how, what your organizational business requirements and outcomes are, and make sure technology is, driving towards those things. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be, years of effort, but get someone to help you critically kind of look at and facilitate a review of your technology.
Hey, Ryan, maybe if you could tell those listening today why this process was developed and what pain point we saw that helped us create this process.
In the why it was developed, I think why Virtual CIO was developed, like another really important reason was organizations tend to look at the health of their technology by the computers that they have and the servers and the networks, and a good CIO tends to look at overall technology, the whole technology ecosystem. And that could be budget, it could be staffing, it could be, application health, it could be, again, data richness, it could be integrations with partners, and again, tying it back to strategic outcomes for the organization. The other reason that we developed this process is truly great CIOs are incredibly hard to find, and there are lots of great executive leaders that come into organizations, but they tend to focus very specifically on kind of, either the financials or operations, even your CEOs, they tend to focus on leadership, development, kind of setting the vision for the company. But a lot of organizations forget that technology strategy is just as important. And it's to Kyle's earlier point, right? They got to be able to think like CFOs and think like CEOs and think like CEOs to some degree. to be able to pull, holistic technology solutions together. And so since they are so hard to find, we just thought, maybe we could build a process to augment a good IT leader and help make them great without having to go through, decades of experience.
Thank you so much for your time today. We know that you are busy, and we hope that you got value out of this time. We hope that you saw that the ciOS process can really help your organization take technology and leverage it to achieve your business goals. And it's a process that will help break down the silos across your organization, get people engaged on technology and using it to its full potential. If you'd like to learn more, we're here to help. We'd love to engage and talk with you about how this process could be a fit for your organization, or even just to give you some tips on things that we've learned over the years. So our contact information will be provided afterwards. Please reach out, and we look forward to hearing from you.